Okay, these are the most heavily hyped and most long-awaited jammer arms I think that have been made yet. These are the PRX Halo arms. This is how they work very quickly before we get into the review. First off, they're designed to be used just like any other jammer arm, except a few extra features. Number one is they can be used to be fixed like an upright, so if you want to use them like a standard upright, you can. The way you change that though, pull this pin out and suddenly they can be used like a jammer arm. But wait, one thing that they can do is you can place these in, and so you have a fixed starting point. If you ever use jammer arms, you know exactly why that's important. But if you use any machine, you suddenly don't have to clean the weight up to be able to use it, and you can use it for seated movement, something that's very nice. In addition to that though, these don't just have a vertical adjustment, they also have a horizontal adjustment. So with this pin right here, you can adjust it side to side, actually 9 different increments. So if you want to get a close grip press, or just make sure that you adjust the width to your body type, you can. But wait, there's more. You can also pull this out, twist it 45 degrees, lock it in, and suddenly you have a free spinning horizontal and vertical. So if you want to do different movements like converging overhead press or flies and things like that, similar to what you would use with dumbbells, you can do that. They also adjust up and down on the uprights. Pull the pin out. Ooh, sweet knurled handles. Can fit on any 3x3 upright with a 1" or 5/8" hole, and there are things that I don't like about them. Let's get into the review. Hey guys, it's Coop from Garage Gym Reviews, back in the garage gym, back to review jammer arms. Man, I've reviewed a lot of jammer arms, first time here. I've reviewed many. Honestly, my kind of arc for love for jammer arms started really high, got really low, and in fact, I thought jammer arms for a little bit were some of the most useless piece of gym equipment. I mean, think about it. The amount of people that have jammer arms and they just sit on the rack is a lot. But I've actually found myself using them more and more. You have to get creative with them, and you have to use them with features that have like this built in. Up until this point, there's really like one other option, which I'll speak about, that has the ability to do this. Every other option, you have to spend a crazy amount of money, and you have to buy a ton of extra parts, add them on. It looks kind of weird. It's annoying. This, I will say, it is the most complete, holistic, useful jammer arm system yet, but not without problems. Jammer arms are unique in that they take up very little space, and if done well, can replicate a lot of movements and being very versatile. The problem, I will say, up to this point, is they're really designed for collegiate facilities and collegiate use, which is a lot of dynamic movements, which I think home gym owners can benefit from, but most of them are not using them in that way. They're not using them like football players. They want to use them for machine-based type movements. And so, because a lot of these haven't had the features that you really need to do that, you just sit on the rack and collect dust. But PRX is really trying to change that in some ways, and I think in some ways they have. So let's get into the review. First off, there are 3 defining features, I think, of these that separate them from the rest of competition, because there are a lot of jammer arms out there. In fact, I've used pretty much all of them, from the really cheap ones to the really expensive ones, from Eleiko, PRX, Rogue, you name it. There's a few others coming forward. If you'd like to see those, let me know. One of them specifically is the Griffin lever arms, which I think, honestly, those may be the most competitive to these, but we've got to get them in before I can give a full comparison. But the defining feature of these is the fact that they can lock in vertically, so that means you can lock them in and place it where you'd like to for a starting position. Who would have thought that'd be a good idea? And then additionally, horizontally, so they can lock in horizontally, but in addition to that, they can be free floating on both of those. So they can free float vertically, which all jammer arms can do that, but what these can do that few others can is they can actually swivel side to side freely for converging press. And then lastly, something I think is pretty cool that they finally did with these is they can be used on either 5/8" hole racks or 1" hole racks if you got a 3x3 upright, which if you go with any other company, you basically have to buy a version for for like say a Monster Light or Monster, 1 inch or 5/8 inch. So if you switch racks or whatever, like it's just annoying. This same unit can be used on both and actually used really well on both. And when I say 3x3, they can be used either on 75x75 or a true 3x3. These are designed from PRX for Build Limitless rack, although they told me specifically they designed them for other racks. They're gonna fit best on a 3x3 rack, but a 75x75 millimeter, which are the imported racks that save their 3x3, it's gonna work on those too. You just may have a little bit more slop, but it is adjustable so you can tighten it down. And there's rollers so it adjusts up against the upright. Now, these aren't the first jammer arm that have the ability to lock in vertically or allow horizontal movement, but they are the one that provides a complete solution for it that's actually out in the wild. Griffin, for instance, are the other competitors, which I haven't seen anybody have them. They've been on pre-order for a long time. The other option is the option that I have in my garage, which is Rogue, where we got the Vendetta plates adapters that go on the side, and then we got the Jim Pin times Kaizen adapters that allow swivel. It's just like, they're so expensive, very heavy, also look kind of goofy, just kind of feel like a DIY. Just overall, it's like, I just don't really recommend those overall. If you have the Rogue ones and you want to get the Vendetta plates, I would get those. The Jim Pin thing, it's okay, but this is an all-in-one complete solution. And I will say the ability to lock in vertically is one I absolutely love. As I've started to do more and more machines, I love the ability to start where I want it. So I've been using these on shoulder press where I'll just sit there in a bench, which if you don't have a ability to lock in, you really can't do that. Like you're gonna have to clean them up, set down. It's just so annoying. This allows you to have a start point where you'd like. You can also use them for other movements too, like bench press, overhead press, also allows you for rows in unique ways. There's actually a guy who's a mod on our Facebook group, the Home Gym Community, is named Dylan Johnson, probably using jammer arms more uniquely in the best way that I've seen anywhere, where he's adding loading pins so you can adjust the strength curve, similar to Prime Fitness machines. He's adding cables to them. There's just a lot of untapped potential, I think, in jammer arms, and I think these get somewhat there, but I don't think they're all the way there yet. I'll talk about that in a moment, but the ability for them to lock in with 17 different holes on the side plates is nice. I love that they added as many holes as possible. They could have added fewer and they would have been like, oh, that's fine, but having more holes is better because it allows you for more stopping points. Same reason that you like a ton of holes on 5/8 inch hole racks through the west side hole spacing, because it allows you to dial in the J-cups, but also it makes it lighter because it's less steel. And overall, a lighter jammer arm trolley is superior. These are a heavy jammer arm overall. They're 66 pounds, I weighed them. I will say they're not as heavy as say a Rogue one if you add the handles, but they are heavier than some others like a Leico. Overall, they're kind of a mid-tier, but they're not the easiest thing to move up and down, but the trolley system does work well because it has rollers. More on that in a moment. Then for the side-to-side movements, they have a pop pin. This part I really like. They have a pop pin that you can pull out and adjust, and has 9 different holes. So you can adjust it 9 different whips, whether you want it super wide or super close. You can lock them in. Also, if you'd like to, they have the pop pin pulls out. If you turn it 45 degrees, it will lock in and stay out, and then you have full side-to-side movement. They're using UHMW plastic sandwiched in between the metal so it slides really well and also doesn't scratch. Honestly, that part was just really well thought of. I will say, the overall fit and finish of this is very good, but one part of it that's not great are the pop pins, just the pins in general. This little plastic joysticky thing, I don't want to feel like I'm playing a video game. I want to feel like I'm using barbells. So make these knurled, make them magnetic, make them one size. There's 2 different sizes of these that lock things in. One has a taper on it, the other doesn't. They're different lengths. Even though they're about the same diameter, they're just slightly different. No identifiers on which one is which. It's just overall this, along with the pop pin for the adjustment side to side piece, it's just compared to the rest of the product. I feel like it was just like, we need something to hold these together. Oh, I got some under my car. Here, use these. These go on my hitch on my truck. Okay, these are great. That kind of thing. They didn't think it through. And when you have companies like Rep Fitness that are thinking through all the details, and others that they're competing with, you got to think through those because the home gym market wants it. Now, I will say, and I'd love to hear people's opinion on it, my favorite part of jammer arms like this are being able to lock in the start position. I love that feature. Honestly, the side-to-side movement, I like that I can lock them in to get the right adjustment for the type of press I want to do, but when they're freely moving, I haven't fully figured out the best movement for that. I get the idea, like a converging press for max peak contraction is really nice, but on machines, it's still a fixed path. This is a free floating path, similar to dumbbells, and it just feels kind of different. So if you found a movement you really love that uses free floating arms, let me know in the comments. I'd love to try them. I love that they added the feature. I just personally haven't figured out a way that I really love using the side-to-side sway. So let me know if you found one. Now, the arms do come with a multi-grip arm. This is a similar arm to what you see with Rogue's L21 trolley. It has a built-in stainless steel weight horn, which has a very nice, this is kind of like a more premium option. Prime Fitness does this, where they'll put like a rounded head on there, rubber head, so it just makes it easier for plates to go on. I really like that, well thought through. It's a lighter handle, it's much lighter than Rogue's, so it's just easier to place on, easier to take off, it weighs less. Overall, these are heavy arms. You already have a heavy start weight, so making them as light as possible so people can do things like lateral raises and things like that with them, which I know a lot of people like doing. It's just nice. So the lighter, the better. I like that they didn't just overbuild it. I like normal build. That's strong enough, but also light enough so it's functional and more movements, which I think these strike a good balance. The multi-grip handle is a standard multi-grip handle that we're used to seeing. It's okay. They're also gonna come out with a straight knurled handle, which I haven't seen yet. They just told me and they've said it's sweet. So we'll wait to see if it's actually sweet. But this can use other people's handles because it's 5/8" holes. In fact, one is Rohrman strength. He came out with one that uses bearings, so it has 360 rotation. I have those on the way where I wanna basically use them. Let me know if you'd like to see that, because there's other options. One of the nice things, because they're using standard holes, there's other options that you can use. One thing though, and these are all honest reviews, so I have to call out everything. Sometimes companies don't love when I do this. They'd prefer me to email them and say like, hey, you should have told us that this was messed up, but then it's not an honest review. So one of the holes on this is not cut to diameter. You can't get a pop pin through. You can't get a pop pin because the diameter is not big enough. I will say PRX, they're making these in the US in-house, and their customer service is in-house. They're gonna replace it for anybody if you have an issue like that, but it is worth calling out. That was the one thing that was missed on this. Now the trolley, I feel like the trolley is well made. They're using a very nice 2 stainless steel knurled handles. I love that knurling is just like synonymous now. It's like if you come out with a piece of equipment and there's a rod on it and it's not knurled, people get upset. I feel like I've had some influence in the industry in that. I love that. But it has 2 handles, single pop pin that is a really nice pop pin, can be adjusted so it's either on 5/8" or 1" hole. And then they put holes on either side and one 1" hole on the back, so you can put it in offset holding 1", or you can put them in, if you have a 5/8" rack, on the side. So it works really well. We'll work with a lot of racks because of how many holes are there. Also, if you have a Build Limitless rack, there is a cutout on the back so you can see exactly what number you're on in the middle. A very nice touch. And PRX has these unique font for their numbers that's similar to PRX. It just looks cool. So it's nice to be able to find it, tell your buddy, hey, adjust it to number 24, and then you guys can both get there. On that same note though, they thought of doing that on the upright, but a huge miss. There's no numbers on the uprights of the actual jammer arms, which they made it so it could be fixed upright so you could use it like an upright, yet did not make it so you would have numbers on it. I feel like it's a huge miss. This is already a premium product. It's gonna cost a little bit more to cut the numbers in. Throw the numbers in there. People are gonna use these like uprights. Let them use them like uprights. And then another one, on the outside plates, they have cutouts. They have these little lines in 3 different lengths to basically tell you where you're at on every other hole. Just number them. It makes it easier so I can tell my buddy, hey, go to 24. Or there's a lot of people that write down what their setup is in their logbook so they can have that same movement each time. Now, instead of writing 27 or 5 or whatever, they have to write a line. You know, it's like small line, middle line, long line. Yeah, it's just like, why? Overall, function-wise, really well done. The best functioning that are out there. They lock tight against the upright. I would like it, and this is for all jammer arms, if they used a detent pin or like a screw pin to make it tighter up against the upright so there's no side-to-side movement. There will be more side-to-side movement if you're using this on like a rep rack or something like that, that's 75 by 75, because this is a true 3x3 rack. So if they had a pin that for people that are like OCD and want it to be as tight as possible when you're using it, That would be really nice, but I mean, it's not just PRX. No companies have that I know of yet. But overall, powder coat on PRX stuff is fantastic. They went with their Porsche gray on the outside logo, which I think is cool. It'd be sweet if they offered options for that for people that want to match the rack. This is not designed, I want to make this clear, not designed for the profile folding racks, which is what PRX is known for. I've told them many times, like, you got to make more accessories for those because they're sick racks and there's a lot you can do with them. But honestly, these are too heavy to pull up with the shocks. This is designed for a standalone rack, specifically for their Build Limitless series, but can also be used on other racks. Then to a part that I think a lot of people have questions on is the whole cable system idea. When we went out there and did a walkthrough, they showed us a cable system idea where they were mounting pulleys and they wanted to mount a cable through there. I think it's a really cool idea, and they actually allowed for optionality on this with holes where later on, if they sell it, you can add it. Will they actually come out with it? I don't know. Basically, they're trying to determine how many of these they sell before adding on more attachments, which I think is an okay idea. I like the idea of just coming out with everything and just bombard the market with the best stuff. I just understand the expense side, but that would make it so you could technically use these like a free motion with arms routed out to the side if you were able to attach to a functional trainer stack. That would be money. There's a lot of engineering there with the cabling, making sure it's long enough, all that sort of stuff, but man, that would be absolutely sick. I know a lot of people are wondering, like, is that with this? No. The first version is just this, but if you buy this, you'll be able to add it later on if they actually come out with it, which I hope they do. It is kind of annoying to be like, I've got to invest in the product, it can do the thing, but I have to wait and hope that they actually come out with it because they're not guaranteeing it's coming out. I would love it if they were just like, we are coming out with this, we guarantee it, or they come out with it from the start. Because there's a lot of people that will buy that feature or want to buy these that maybe won't buy them until that feature comes out. And it may never even see the light of day, so we'll see. Functionally and like design-wise, these are the best adjustable jammer arms on the market, bar none. These are the best I've used yet. There are forthcoming ones from other companies that I'd like to use. These also have the potential to do stuff that others don't, like the ability to have a cable system, but it's not here yet. But overall, these will be replacing my Rogue ones in my gym. So if you ever, if you want to know what I like, it's what's in my gym. These are the best ones. The best utility, the best design. There are refinements that I think they could make, but overall, up to this point, these are the best ones they offer. One other thing, like critique, just at jammer arms at large, a lot of people are using these to mimic machines. One of the nicest things with machines is there are mini machines like a chest press where you have a leg piece that you can push on to help you get assistance to get to the top of the movement. Or say like a bench press. It's like you don't start a bench press at the bottom of the movement, you start at the top, unrack, and then go. Much easier to start a movement that way. With these, you can't do that yet. A feature, I don't know how they would do this. I'm not an engineer. I just sit on the background and just say, this would be cool. But a feature that would be sweet is the ability to operate or use a jam arm at the top of a movement. Something like, if you've ever seen those ejection pins on like a cable stack where you slam it and then the pin pops off with the spring. Something like that where if you were to unload the weight, suddenly the pin would pop out and you can do the move. That would be money. Some ability like that would be amazing. I'm just throwing this out there because it's a jam arm video and I think people would be excited about it, and competitors watch these videos, so if other competitors want to add that or if PRX wants to add that, it'd be amazing. But that, I think, is another thing that would change jam arms even further so you could use them and replace more and more machines, which is really where I see jam arms going, and I hope they go more so. If money is no object and you're comparing basically the ones I have now, which are the Rogues, which are extremely expensive. I have the Vendetta plates on there and I have the gym pin versus these any day. Because they're lighter, they're also fully featured. The pop pin for the side to side is so much better than that little key. It pops out all the time. They fit against the upright better. Overall, this is just a vastly better solution. Not perfect yet, but a vastly better solution than what's out there yet. So what I'll do in relation to these pins that I just absolutely trashed for good reason, which is kind of funny when I trash something, you have the companies get mad, the customers get pretty happy because then what happens is the customers actually replace them. Think of the urethane D handles from Rep. Dude, they don't bring those out at all, right? These are similar. It just doesn't, the only reason this matters is because PRX did so good with the build of the product, they threw these on. It would be like throwing a bumper kit from AutoZone on a Ferrari. It's like, no. But you could, if you wanted to, take magnetic pins from other companies. Because like Fringe Sport makes a 5/8" pin. That's magnetic that you could place in instead. One of the things I think they went with these is because the detent. They got that little detent pin right there, which I will say, it is the lightest detent pin ever. Most babies could press this in. It's just not gonna hold it in very tightly. I think magnet would be just as good, or they make some that have cotter pins on the other side if you really wanna lock them in, but I think magnets would hold fine, and other companies make 5/8" ones that you could use.
It's been like 2 weeks or so since I did the PRX Halo Arms review. I've got some additional thoughts, and I want to talk about the pricing. One thing they didn't have dialed in yet, and I couldn't really speak to, was the price. They sent me a price point, and basically I was like, nah, fam, it's too expensive. They lowered the price, which is such a good idea. Before I get to the price, I do have a couple of minor changes that I hope they make. One is with the side-to-side trolley. The more I've used them, the more versatile and useful I've been able to see them become. Like I use them this morning for shoulder press. Dude, they're freaking awesome. The review stands, they're so good. One thing that could be improved though is on the side-to-side adjustment. They have all these holes on the up and down adjustment because they're using a 5/8" hole instead of a 1" hole, which is superior for adjustability because you have more options to lock it in where you want it. But one option that needs more holes is this side to side. And the reason being is they're leaving a larger gap between each hole, and the ones that are most beneficial are increments like this, just a few, where they've got them. And the way that it's adjusted, if I'm doing shoulder press, I basically have one that's wide out, like straight on and upright. And then I have one like here and then here. I need like an in-between. So I think it'd be really easy. I actually may get a step bit and try it myself. Or PRX, I hope you just come out with another bracket because it's a way that it would definitely improve the product, the usability. They go out really wide. They've got holes. They just need one in between on all the holes. Just give me more optionality. That's one. Then the other thing I'd say is if you're gonna get these, you're gonna spend the money on them, buy the Rohrmann Strength Megalith handles. They're so much better than the standard handles. Like they make it just so much more usable. Having the fixed handle means it's on a fixed bar path. With the lever arm, the Rohrmann ones, they spin, both the handle spins and the attachment spins. So you can keep the angle the same way despite the lever. It just, they feel so good. They work so good. The combination of those two is just so well done. But also I want to call out just some engineering beauty. The fact that it's using the same pin for 5/8" holes and 1" holes. They come up with this way where they have a pin that's a 1" pin, and then they machined it down, the tip of it, so it's 5/8". So you can use it on a 5/8" rack or a 1" rack without having to buy separate ones. So if you go from 5/8" to 1", it's still gonna work. It is awesome. It's just engineering beauty. I love that part. And then the price. Okay, here's the price. $1,500. It's $1,500. The original price, they were gonna go higher than that. And I think significantly higher. $1,500, it's still on the verge of if you just want the best of the best, these are the ones to get, like they are. But $1,500, man, whoo! It's a lot for lever arms. There aren't another pair of lever arms though that I personally would buy yet. I want to try the Griffin adjustables because they have some similar functionality. But right now, if you're gonna buy lever arms, these are the ones to get from ones I've used, just being honest. Because the other ones, unless you're doing a ton of dynamic work, haven't been able to stop them, but not just stop them, but also move them so they're closer. The only thing I'd say if you want to make that functionality even better is to be able to rotate the upright, the angle. Because when you do it, that angle stays the same, which means the handle stays the same. If you were able to angle it in a bit too, it'd be fully articulating. That's how you make these even better for converging Are they worth $1,500? I mean, they're expensive. They're made in the USA though. They're very innovative. I really like them. But you're just gonna have to decide for yourself if you're willing to spend that much, if you get that much use out of it. I will say, for how much I've been using them, like if you're gonna use them for all the machine press and kind of stuff, because you don't have a lot of room or don't want to spend on all the other stuff, there's a lot of good stuff you can get done with these. So this has been the PRX Halo Arms Review. What do you think of them? And are there other lever arms you'd like to see me compare them to? Let me know in the comments. This has been Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. See you next time. Peace.